Yes.
They're. Up on these.
You guys are civil engineers, and I appreciate it.
Hey, am I logged in?
Alright, yes, you would be logged in as a parent.
Here we go.
Ready to issue. Like, you should be able to get the shirt one.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. It is 2:01 PM on July 6th. We're going to call to order the Ogden Valley City Council regular work session meeting. And just for the record here, we've got a full house in place. We've got council members Hickman, Booth, Shaw, Hoagland, and Dooling Baker. I am Mayor Wampler. We have our recorder and our IT director in-house, as well as some special guests from engineering, as well as special guests from the community. All right, let's all stand for the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll follow that in a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, first up on today's agenda is a brief planning update. Councilmember Booth.
I think Brian is online. I don't have anything specifically unless Peggy does, and I'm pretty sure Brian is online. Is that right?
Nope. I'm looking at Kathy's face to go big eyes.
I just talked to him, he said he was planning on joining, I can
Okay.
message him quickly.
That's fine. We can actually jump forward and come back to it.
Peggy, do you have anything?
No.
Councilmember Hoagland, would you like to give us the legal update?
Surely, even as we speak, our outside attorney Corbin Gordon is working on a reply brief to be filed in our pending case against the Utah State Tax Commission. The posture is this: first, we filed a petition. We were granted a temporary restraining order allowing us to proceed through the truth in taxation process. Last week, the district court judge to whom it was assigned reassigned the case to a tax judge. I don't know the specifics of it on who that may be. We also asked that she retain the case because it's not really a tax detailed case, it's a statutory case. That being said, that resulted in the cancellation of the hearing that was scheduled for last Thursday at 11 AM. And is pending rescheduling by the new tax judge. In the meantime, the TRO temporary restraining order remains in effect, allowing us to participate in truth in taxation. The next point will be a public hearing yet to be scheduled. It will be online most likely, but that will consider whether we convert the temporary restraining order to a preliminary injunction, continuing to allow us to participate in truth in taxation.
The public hearing you mentioned is different than the type of public
Yeah.
hearing. There we go.
It's in public court, but
Yes, it's a court hearing that the public can attend. I just want to make sure that everybody, not a public hearing that we'll host here.
okay. And stay tuned, it will keep things updated as we go, we'll keep you all updated, and we're getting a lot of press coverage. KUER, the University of Utah Public Radio Station reporter assigned to Ogden calls KSL, Tim Vandenack calls. And we've had some other reporters as well, the local Fox TV. Also, I point out that the Fox reporter was very lovely, but she reported something wrong that she didn't even ask us about. Her closing line was, oh, if this tax dispute arose because the city was late in a filing, they basically made a mistake. She didn't ask about that, and that's incorrect. It was the state LG's office who was missing in action during the holiday and ignored the date we asked for the certificate of incorporation.
Was that something you let her know?
I'm sending her the documents. She did not interview me on that at all. She just wanted to know the posture of the case.
I think it's been questioned. over the
Oh,
whole
yeah,
time, so I think I understand why it was
Yeah,
probably reported that way. I mean, I got asked it this weekend again.
I hope you had read the Ogden Valley.
Yeah, I did, but I'm just saying, I understand why people
Oh, yeah.
are confused by it, so it would be good to be able to,
It's unfortunate that keeps getting repeated when it's
Yeah.
wrong.
yeah.
Yes, and it's interesting because so again, this will be a standing agenda item as soon as we entered the court system, it's been a standing agenda item on every single public meeting agenda, as well as articles in the paper. Just like our budget stuff, and then it's always interesting to me because of the latest articles. A bunch of people just found out that we were talking about raising taxes, and I'm thinking, okay, it's been months on every agenda and in the newspaper everywhere, but yeah, they just found out. So we're gonna keep trying to push this information out and hopefully everybody can have a chance to come in and talk and understand what's happening and why it's happening.
And by the way, I'm providing the pleadings to the reporters who contact us as we get them. So hopefully that will help sharpen their analysis. Having worked for a media company, the reporters always get stuff quite wrong at times, and it's good, Chad, I'll make sure Fox TV gets corrected. Unintentionally, it's just, that's what happens.
Which, and correct me if I use the wrong terminology, but our initial case, which is big documents I believe you're sending to these people, lays out everything in no uncertain terms and provides all the evidence of all the things that went on during December and everything else. So, there's no shortage of evidence and facts being shared, it's whether or not they're being reported. So,
They're looking,
or they're reading all the.
and I also have sent, the Fox person was a recent contact, but I've sent KSL and KUER articles that we publish in the Ogden Valley News. So that those are helpful.
Did Brian join?
Yes, he did.
Fantastic, Mr. Carver. Hello.
Good afternoon. I apologize for
You're good.
tardiness.
Back for a brief planning update. Do you have anything to share with council and public?
No, nothing new really. We have the public hearing scheduled for next week to talk about some minor changes to the shoreline zone. And other than that, we are just kind of taking the rough edges off of our application processes and working through projects with citizens and property owners.
So the meeting that's coming up at the public hearing on shoreline, are there any applications on that agenda?
No, there are no other applications for that agenda. We weren't able to. I do have a couple that will require public hearings, but they weren't able to get me the application materials before the date necessary to notice those hearings. So we will work to get them on an upcoming schedule.
So, okay, that brings up an interesting query. So I don't know what the topic is that you're discussing that would need a public hearing, but so maybe you could rezone or something, but otherwise there'll be public hearings for legislative items that don't need a 10-day mailer or anything like that.
Our administrative items?
Well, that's correct. I was referring to, you guessed it correctly. It was a rezone request. Rezone requests require public hearings and with the planning commission.
But it's a rezone. It probably wouldn't need a mailer, is that correct? Because it's a request, not a.
It's correct. We do notify, our code does require that we notify adjacent property owners. So they would receive a mailing as well as the notice would be posted publicly.
Right, just not citywide.
Correct, not citywide.
Okay. Fantastic. Anything else?
Nope, not today. Thank you.
And Ryan, did you rest up?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sure.
board, have you rested up after getting us marching through the entire planning code, the land use code?
Oh, yes, yes, thank you. The long weekend helped a lot, so.
You gave him a long. All right, well, he didn't have much reprieve today. I was on the phone with him multiple times, you know, people coming in the office with permit questions.
I don't get paid to sit around, so.
He's busy. All right, thank you very much, Brian. All right, we're jumping now to 4. This is our standing agenda item, finance budget and truth and taxation update. Would one of my finance team members like to do that one? Let's try it out.
There is no news since a week ago today at our last meeting. A week ago today, we informed ourselves and the public of the edited changes we had done in our draft budget or our budget that we finalized. And we provided the new property tax impact schedule publicly. We didn't really have many discussion items regarding that other than we'd updated. That's where we are. So nothing's changed. The only change, there is no change. The relevant change Kay already talked about, which was the change in venue for our lawsuit. So we're in a holding pattern. It is the new fiscal year. So we're beginning to obligate fiscal 27 monies.
Yes. We are also, I've been working with Sherry on finding an auditing period. Because we will need to have a financial audit of 26 by the end of the year. So of course we have to get, we have to identify the group we want to work with and then get on their schedule. Do we want to go through? We've been repeating over and over again about the 2 parallel paths of truth and taxation. Might as well just continue on those with what we don't.
You cannot explain too much,
Okay.
which we are finding in inquiries on the web and just in talking to folks around.
I'll give my spiel. So we, truth and taxation is the mandatory state process. If anybody wants to raise property taxes at all, or adjust or change your property tax rate, we are hoping to get to continue going through that process. As Councilmember Hoagland had mentioned in the legal update, we have a temporary stay allowing us to continue. That is still pending a final judgment. But in the meantime, we will continue down both pathways. Well, one of the pathways is pretty much done at this point because we have adopted a budget that both has the finances, should we be allowed to proceed and complete truth and taxation, as well as if we are turned down or we have to wait until the following fiscal year. So all of that is played or shown out in the budget that is available to everybody in hard copies in the office. It's available online for download or review online. It comes with our next agenda item, which is number 5. It comes with a handy dandy proposed property tax impact schedule. This is part of truth and taxation. It's a mandatory required document that be made available to the public, which we have hard copies of today. We do in every single public meeting have hard copies. We have hard copies available in the office. We have it online for download and available for people's convenience from our website. And that basically just lays out every version of this that you could possibly want to digest it in, whether it's in percentage form, dollar form, decimal point, whatever you'd like. So this is all available to everybody at all times. If anybody has any questions on it, always feel free to call or email anyone on council or come on into the office. Am I missing anything between 4 and 5? I think that takes care of both 4 and 5 on the agenda. Budget, truth and taxation, and the impact schedule.
I will.
I had one request for the resident to put the one page that's in the budget book that talks about our mill rates, the 0.00 increase. If we could advertise that with that graph in the paper. Absolutely, I think that was a suggestion of a piece of information.
And that shows someone is reading, which is so gratifying. What is apparent to me, and it's the reality, not everyone reads our wonderful local newspaper. And even if you go through and read this 1 or 2 or 3 times, still is a learning curve. And so we're going to do another set of articles this week and focus on that. Our finance director did a comparison chart showing where we stack up compared to other cities in Weber County. I believe it was on Weber. And this increase would be right in the middle, right in the middle. So it is very valuable information. Go ahead.
And to that point, we'll have the comparisons of not just the primary residents, but the other ones also.
That's, it is.
I've been asked that, that's why.
Oh, yeah, that chart particularly does not,
Right.
but we do have the residents get
Get it.
55% of the valuation, and non-residents will pay the full 100%. So this way, property tax, as much as everyone dislikes it, is probably the fairest and most beneficial way to raise funds for residents. It means non-residents, second homeowners, all the Californians or Chicago people who are not residents here pay the full share. Residents get 55% of the valuation they pay.
Let's be clear for everybody, the increase is the same regardless if you're resident or non-resident.
Right.
So
It's
that's the
about
answer. The mill rate is going from here to here. If you're resident, you pay 55%. If you're non-resident,
Your
you pay
valuation.
of your valuation, of your assessment.
Yeah.
Not your valuation, but your assessment.
Why are they taking it off of in all the examples we're doing, they're taking it off of is the value 1.2 million? Is that what they're?
That,
An
I
example.
believe our finance director has used that, and according to the county who gets our information, that's the average valuation of a house in Ogden Valley City.
That was just updated this year about a month ago. That was the.
Right, I get that, I understand that, but to the point of the 55%, explain that.
Okay, if that person were a full-time resident, after the tax is calculated based on the value of the assessed value of the home, the full-time resident would pay only 55% of the tax.
Got it.
And yeah, another thing, I can pull that out and really emphasize it in an upcoming article.
Chad brings up something we should just have Sherry check. Cause I don't remember what the budget book says. Does it say the assessed value or the market value? It should say the assessed
It's the
value.
assessed value.
Okay,
You want to double check?
well, let's just make sure, because that is what your property tax is based on, your assessed.
Correct. Right.
And then hopefully most people can do proportions. If this was 1.2 million and mine is only worth 800,000, just do a proportion and you can
You know,
figure out what your raise.
We had a graphic in the newspaper that was based on
A real bill?
a real bill, and I think I found a property that was right at 1 million, blacked out the identifying information. But I can also find property worth 500K. They're harder to find in the valley, sadly,
Well,
but we
that's-
can do a model based on that as well, so people can see examples.
Or just explain the
Yeah.
55%.
Yeah,
I'd rather, it's a million, but was 55%.
I would keep it with round numbers.
Yep.
yeah,
It's easiest for people to understand, round numbers. $1 million,
50%.
times this, yeah, times this percentage, and then secondary home pay. That exact number, full-time resident pays, and then times 55%.
it's, yeah. One other really useful piece of information is Sherry prepared, and it's on the website, the so-called budget book. And it's really good at explaining and showing, I think that's where she put the comparison of cities. But for each of us, when we are doing town halls, it's a good time to have in your own mind how to explain this. And also, we might consider doubling up. We ain't accountants. And so it might help each other to back each other up at some of our town halls.
Yeah. At my last town hall, one person said it.
That person
And I was all ready with that information.
You are ready to go.
Did you give it to him?
Yep, good.
So I wanna make sure that, because I'm taking notes, I wanna make sure that I'm understanding, so, Councilmember Julie Baker, you were saying, please, that part of the budget book with the mill rate, and everything, you put that in communication out to the public, and then Councilmember Booth. I was a little bit confused, so the rate is the rate no matter what, you wanted more explanation on the discount.
Commercial business and second home. That, and then ask that question as far as what is their obligation, what are they paying on their property taxes?
100%, right, okay, so I guess just some line items about how commercial and second homes pay 100%, and then primary residence, this is what, okay, this primary residence is the discount. Any other questions? Or any clarification?
100%
What was that?
commercial.
Yes, they do. Need to be appreciative of our business if they pay us 100%. Always have, yes. But
Who's seeking to be recognized?
oh, sorry,
Is this optional?
So when you show your income being 2 million plus, that's not calculated in the 55% rate either.
First off, name and address for
I
our.
apologize. Eric Johnson.
Okay. And your address or where you live?
Oh, I'm sorry, Liberty.
In Liberty?
Yeah.
Is that enough? Is that okay?
That's
So you asked about your income?
No, what I'm saying is, you're showing here, you're gonna come up with $2.4 million.
Okay.
Okay. Is that at the 100% rate and you anticipated that? Or is that also including the discount for those who are?
Yeah, we did. We have documents of the projection of how many secondary homes are in the valley, how many primary residents, how many businesses, and then we projected on that.
One other thing before we close the topic. These tax statements we get from the county are line after line after line of taxes and different districts, the county, the fire department, and so we are just one line, and so people are rightfully fearful, is it this percentage of the whole tax bill? No, it's the percentage based on.
Based on what you're gonna be.
Yeah, and it's based on, the increase is sizable because the prior unincorporated services charge we were charged by the county is rather small. It's a very small base. So 500% of $1 is $5.
Yes.
I'm not the engineer. So that's the big jump.
I do think we still need to be sensitive to, we're not the only ones raising the tax. So for people who are concerned, it's because the fire department's going up, the school's going up, everything is going up. So it is hard and it is a tough thing. So I just want us to keep that in mind for folks retired, fixed income.
I think I get your point. I just wanted to point out the fire department's not going up this year. They went up last year. But they're not going.
There's our IT director, who like the rest of us works for free, has just noted there's a question online. What is the justification for this? It sounds like a billion tax. Not everyone's from Texas or California. We are not all billionaires. We use fewer resources, infrastructure, and service. We are working class. So, Mayor, do you want to answer that?
Sure. So this budget, which is available online for everyone to review, is not, it's not a wish list, it's not a, this is to pay the bills of becoming a city. So we had a vote and about 70%, it was about 70-30 that voted to incorporate. Once that happened, we started to get the realistic price of what it costs to plow snow, to fix roads, stormwater planning, all these things. The feasibility studies forecasts were incorrect, revenues were higher than reality, and expenses were lower than reality. So that turned us upside down. Well, the feasibility study had our revenues projected to be higher, they are low. They had our expenses projected to be lower, they are higher. And so, and this has been talked about in the public sector, even through the campaign, this was discussed. So, I understand it inflames people and not a lot of people, not everybody maybe agrees or whatnot, or they are just now coming to understand it, but it is the reality. So we voted to become a city. By law, that enacts a number of things. We cannot, I know a lot of people say, well, let's just unincorporate. There's a law that says you cannot even start an unincorporation process until you've been incorporated for 2 years. There's also a law that says we must balance a budget. So we have to survive for 2 years, we must balance a budget. I know I see comments, oh, well, just tighten your belt. This is bare bones. This is what this is. We're just picking up the snow and clearing the roads, fixing maybe a couple of potholes. We've had engineers go out and tell us which ones are the most egregious that we have to do first. We're not fixing all the roads, just a couple, if we can. So again, this is not, everybody's volunteering their time, staff is volunteering their time. We're not building city hall, we're not building a pool, we're not doing any of these things. This is the cost of becoming a city.
I will add one thing that this feasibility study overlooked. It's what I believe unfunded mandate that the state imposes as a requirement on cities. We keep running into unfunded mandates, additional work. You'll see some of that from the engineers where we have to get things in place. You're getting this engineering work costs money, but unfortunately, there are some big chunks of that hit us right out of the gate.
Well, and along with that, the feasibility study, which is still available online for everyone to read. You can go and look at the numbers and you can see what it projects. There are maybe 3 items under startup costs. We can assure you, and you can go through our agendas, there are many more startup costs than that. They listed the election. They listed a city hall, which they had projected at 0 because they had stated that we would be able to use a specific building for free, which was not, in fact, the reality. And then I can't remember one other thing, but in fact, we have to do.
Came back to feasibility study.
Oh, yeah, well,
Which, good, find out.
yes, which we had not, and that's a discussion for another time. But yes, that was the third one, is paying back the 25,000 for the feasibility study. But unfortunately, there's a lot of other things. You've got to write a municipal code. Well, that takes lawyers, then you got to pay their fee. We have to adopt a land use code that involves planners. You have to pay fees. You have to have all of these studies, road studies, stormwater studies, all kinds of things.
Impact these studies.
Impact these studies. If you want to be able to raise impact fees, you got to put that up. So all these things cost money. Everything when you're a brand new city, you're starting with 0. You don't have anything. You have to go and do them all fresh. So all of that costs money. So that was not involved in the feasibility study. All right.
And I'll just, and that was a great summary, I think, and I think to add to it, it's just that we were also, with the new city. Given the new city with not knowing, and as we become more of a city, we've realized there has been added costs that we didn't anticipate, that weren't even necessarily part of the feasibility study, but was just the nature of us becoming a new city that may have been, I don't want to say neglected, but not taking part of where it previously was. And so now we're taking on, and a perfect example of that is today we're discussing stormwater management. You know, that's one area that we've been given something that we're like, wow, there's a lot more to this than what we anticipated. And that's only one example of what we've been given. But I also think to just add to your summary also on that is that I think it's a good time for us, the 6 of us, to be very aware of how important it is that we look at this darn budget and we make it a very high priority to try to be as frugal and smart, and especially in the first year or two of starting out. I mean, we jumped into this, the 6 of us, recognizing And I think we probably all at this point would say, no, I think we maybe thought we might be spending this much time, but maybe didn't, the realization of it didn't become real until we actually were in it. And now we're there and we're realizing it, but at the same time, I think we're all very much into it and we want to do our absolute very best for Ogden Valley. And we're invested in it and we really want to see it. And I think that just leads us to say, let's make sure we're doing this right this first, year or two of getting it up and going. And if being frugal, I believe being frugal is the best route for that. And if there's areas that we can do that, I think it's very important that we do.
Yeah. So yeah, one more question online. The same questioner asked for clarification of this two-tier system, resident versus non-resident differences in how you pay property taxes. Non-residents pay the full amount of the property tax. Residents pay, I think, only 55% of what the assessed tax would otherwise be. Why is that? That's been, in fact, I think, as long as we can remember, that comes from the state. So that's a state distinction that's statewide. It's not just for Ogden Valley City.
True.
And
Is there
there's
a
state,
justification for it that they can reference for their own close up? Where they.
I would Google the residential exemption or residential discount for property taxes in Utah. And you might get some legislative statements about why this state, and I think most states have a difference between residents and non-residents in property tax.
right, I could guess that it might get me out of all. So I'm gonna not, but most states have that, right? The primary residents pay a lower amount, and therefore if you own homes in other places, you can't claim, it would be fraudulent to claim primary residence in both. I know there's been a lot of discussion and then we're gonna wrap this agenda item up, but there's been a lot of discussion previously about, and this was during the campaign as well, about whether or not people in Utah are classified correctly, that there might be second homes here that are getting the discount. And I can shed a little bit of light on that because we've been working actively with the county assessor to ensure that in our city boundary, each residence is being assessed correctly. So that's one of the things we're doing to make sure that we're being both frugal and making sure that the correct things are being done. So in the past in the state of Utah, up until maybe a couple of years ago, maybe this past year, within the last 3 years, I think that's safe to say. If a property was applied for, if a homeowner applied for the primary residence discount, that was attached to the property. Now, if they sold that property, unfortunately, the state did not clear it out. And so it's true that in the past, properties could change ownership and someone could continue paying a discounted tax rate, maybe unknowingly or knowingly. But the state had basically left it up to people to then say, hey, I own this as a secondary home. I don't know how many people do that, but that has changed. The state has changed their policy. Now, it must be opted into every single time. So if a homeowner, if a person buys a home and they plan to live in it full time, they can apply to have the primary resident discount. If they don't realize that, they will get taxed 100%. If a home gets sold and the person is gonna be a secondary, it will automatically stay secondary. It just automatically gets wiped off the books and restarts. So it's up to the homeowner to prove that they are a primary and worthy of the discount. That is a new change, which is helpful. But on the back end, some of the council members, we've been working with the county tax assessor to go through the files and make sure that we're kind of auditing and making sure that what is currently being assessed to people is the correct amount. All right, I think we can move on from finance budget. Anyone that has more questions or whatever, please email them, call in. We have emails and phone numbers throughout the newspaper, they're online. We have office hours 3 times a week. So feel free to come in and talk to us, but let's move through our agenda because I understand this next one might take a little longer than we thought. So agenda item 6, we have a discussion and I'm guessing a presentation because we've got some people
We do.
with us on the draft stormwater management plan.
So
Take it
while
away.
Kathy's bringing up the slide deck, thank you, Kathy. To end, as Chad pointed out, this is one of those things that is an unfunded mandate, so to speak, from the state and the federal government. But we as a city now own the stormwater system. You're going to see some acronyms that Aaron, who I'm going to introduce here in a second, is going to bring up. But we are a municipal storm sewer small system. We own a bunch. And we now are regulated, or we are about to be regulated by the state Department of Environmental Quality. And we're going to adopt a plan between now and hopefully on the 21st of July, that is our plan on how we are going to go from where we are today to 5 years from now, where we want to be to the management of our stormwater system. Who we have today is Aaron MacLight with JUB. He's an engineer with JUB, and he is our stormwater guy. He works with Nate. You all know Nate. And Aaron is going to lead us through the slide deck. I'm going to jump in periodically. But what I want us to come out of here is us in work session understand what this sucker is. Tomorrow, we're having a public hearing where Aaron will do this same slide deck to the public. Then it will be a public hearing. People will bring comments in. Aaron will take said comments, if any, between now and the 21st of July. On the 21st of July, we'll do the final vote on this sucker. I was going to bring it over here. We've all done duty in the office. It is this thick. It's in a binder. It's 574 pages long. Welcome to federal government and regulations.
But it's available. Sorry, go ahead.
Hopefully he will,
Summarize.
He's not going to go through all 574 pages.
The binder is in the office, the city offices. Everybody in the public that is interested in thumbing through 500 and some odd pages, it is there for you. It is also, that information is available online.
So over to you, Aaron.
All right.
Stand right over on our black piece of tape. See the black there?
There we go. Okay. All right, can we go to the next slide? So kind of the goal of what I want to get through today is kind of what some of the definitions are, some of the regulations that we're going through, a little bit of the background of what this is, why we need to do it. I'll go through the plan a little bit, then we'll talk about some next steps. Next slide. So some definitions, here's some definitions. I won't go through all of these, but they're there to look at. The one I do want to go through is the municipal separate stormwater system. This is often called the MS4. This is what you'll hear this a lot throughout the state code, as well as other cities that talk about this. They call it their MS4 permit, MS4 system. This is what Don was talking about in this introduction. And it includes anything, I have some examples here. There's like catch basins you see on the road, any outfalls into the waterways or any roadside ditches are all considered part of the MS4 system. You can go to the next slide. So the background, why do we need to do this? This program first comes originally from the Federal Clean Water Act. Utah has taken ownership over Utah's own jurisdiction, and they have their own Utah Water Quality Act. So they're the regulators for us. And they require us all to pull a permit, and as part of that permit, we need to have the stormwater management plan. It's not complete without it. And we received a formal notice up there. You can see the letter from the state. That's a formal notice from the state saying that we do need to do this and we need to prepare it. And all of the structure and everything in the plan is dictated by what the MS4 permit that is available on the state.
I have a quick question. How much of these regulations come from the state versus the federal EPA?
The EPA gives general guidelines, but it all comes from the state.
Oh boy.
If the state hadn't requested primacy, the feds would be the regulator. But the state requested primacy back in the 80s.
Primacy meaning they're the.
They are the regulars, yeah.
And if we're taking this over, that implies the county had it,
The county had it.
and then
And then
it expired when we started as a city.
Yeah, so when the county, when we became a city, enforcement rolled back up to the state. So the state has been enforcing stormwater plans, pollution prevention plans since January the 2nd. You will cease doing it on or before the 25th of August when we take over. You'll see that in the slide.
And we will get this slide.
It's, you have.
Well, you all have these slides.
Yeah.
I sent a link to everybody this morning again, as did Kate.
It's in the packet. We're laughing because this is the first.
Well, I don't know.
The packet.
I don't know that the one that Kay put in her packet is the most recent one. If you go to the email I sent this morning, this is the updated one if what Kay did.
It's a.
Okay.
We go to the next slide, please. So there's a lot to go with what a stormwater management plan is, but high level is a state mandated plan. It defines what we do. It informs any city employees that may get hired how to complete their job and protect the water quality of the different rivers running through Ogden Valley City. It also is important for state regulators to understand where our stormwater program is. And it's also used by them to determine whether a city needs to be audited for our stormwater program. It isn't though, it's not a regulatory authority. There's no ordinances or enforcement that come from the management plan itself. Although there are obligations from the permit that we do need to pass separate ordinances, that's not what this is. It only regulates the stormwater system, so no sewers or irrigation districts are regulated through this, just the stormwater system. And I think something to also keep in mind is nothing here is set in stone. This gets updated. Many cities update these on an annual basis. So many things can change. There's a lot of different moving parts with the stormwater.
So they have to, on an annual basis, it's just an amendment to a certain section in it, or?
And we track those amendments in stormwater management. So
We will be the updaters, not the state.
No, I understand, I just wanted to make sure we don't have to do the 500 page thing again.
yeah, we just make amendments yearly as different activities that the city does need to
Thank you.
it's created for it. Okay, next slide. So the purpose and why the EPA did this in the first place. There was a study back in 1987 where they were looking at different polluters in city waterways, and they determined that MS4s were one of those major polluters. And we're required to make a separate plan for each city because every city has different factors that go into what's polluting the water is. But the ultimate goal of this management plan and all the of the Clean Water Act is to protect the waters of the state. And in the next slide, I'll kind of explain a little bit what that means. So this is a map of Ogden Valley City. This is available on the state's website. This just shows, these are all the waters of the state, the North Fork River, the Middle Fork, the South Fork, Ogden River, as well as Pine View. And there's a lot of good information. This gives what the state's concerned about in each of these waterways. And we build our plan around protecting the waterways with these different impairments and water quality factors in mind.
That's what we're showing.
What is dissolved oxygen?
So dissolved oxygen, it's in the water, and it's something that like fish and things are required they need it to breathe. So when it's impaired for dissolved oxygen, that just means that there's not enough oxygen in all the waterways that it can support the fish habitat that it would support naturally.
So if water, sorry, go ahead.
How do you get the oxygen in there?
So there's different ways you can do this. There's a lot of different things. Oxygen impairments. It's a lot of times it's through organic matter deterioration, which is like animal operations, fertilizers, sewer, failing septic systems, things like that. The city ultimately isn't responsible for all of that stuff. They're responsible for what comes out of their storm sewer system. But that's something we might want to consider with education topics and things like that. But we aren't required necessarily to fix these, we're just required to address these. That makes sense.
Oxygen goes into the water natural. So body of water, oxygen goes in and out of the water, just. It naturally absorbs into the water. That's dissolved oxygen.
So how, you said we're required to address them, what would that look like if it's not fixing?
It's just like public education topics, like if like sediment from construction sites also is another big thing that causes that. It's being really careful about letting them discharge sediment into the waterways, things like that. Making sure we're on top of our enforcement, making sure their sites are giving education to the public, and providing opportunities for people to clean up debris or things like that.
Let me jump in here. The two previous slides in Aaron highlighted, this is not the storm sewer plan and ordinances will pass, have nothing to do with sewers, agricultural operations, septic tanks, all those other things that may influence the waters of the state. This plan only is respect to our storm sewers. We're required to address these things or at least acknowledge these impairments, but we can't fix all of the things that are happening in the rivers when it comes to agriculture, other activities through the storm water management plan. We may address those in other plans we'll do, but this one is only the storm plans.
Yeah, and to Don's point, we're one member of a group of people that want to have clean water. And this is our part of that. And there are many other people that have their part as well. But this is just addressing the city's responsibility in that.
Or the storm.
For the storm drains. Yeah.
This plan is for the storm drains.
Yeah, I was just confused between addressing and fixing.
Right.
Because to me,
We can address some of it, but we can't fix it at this point.
I think of it in terms of, we don't need to go pump more oxygen into Pineview,
yeah,
which we don't own, but we do need to try to mitigate our
piece of the
Impact.
pie.
our impact. Because our storm water is impacting, we don't have to fix it, we have to address our impacts of the stormwater within the stormwater plan. Through, it can be educating the public, it can be whatever we decide to do. But that's our responsibility.
Information.
Yeah, we're gonna go into all those details next.
Hit the next slide.
Well,
So this is the outline of it. We'll go to the detail of this because we'll go through each of these line items separately. But this is the overall outline that the DEQ has kind of set forth for us to use. We can do the next slide. So the permit wants us to separate our management plan into 6 what they call minimum control measures, which these are essentially different topics we cover, and I'm going to go into each of those separately so you'll know what I mean. But each of them will address the permit requirements. And we have in our permit, we're going to talk about a phasing plan. Because something important, since you're a newly incorporated city, you have 5 years to fully implement your plan. So there's a lot of flexibility to what you do and don't do, what you use resources for the 5 years. And then we'll have plan and implementation measures as well as different things for measuring success, as well as some of the goals we have, and ultimately documentation, because anything that we do needs to be documented or the state doesn't think it happens. So we got to make sure we're on top of keeping that updated. Slide, please. So the 6 minimum control measures, or we call them MCMs sometimes, are education and outreach, public involvement, illicit discharge, detection and elimination. You'll often hear this referred to as IDDE, construction site runoff, long-term stormwater control, and pollution prevention and good housekeeping. Those are and we'll go into each of those one by one. Next slide, please. So for education and outreach, Ogden Valley Watershed Action Group headed by Les, he's going to be partnering with the city on this to help with education and outreach. We're just required to reach out to the general public, institutions, and industrial sites, just on how they can protect stormwater. But Les will be helping mostly with that. What we need to do is make the stormwater management plan available to the public at all times. Next slide, please. And public involvement, this Ogden Valley Watershed Action Group is also going to be helping with this. We just need to provide opportunities for the public to have input and take a part in this management plan. And that's what the public hearing is necessary for, is so that they can have input on the adoption of it. Next slide, please. And then the illicit discharge detection and elimination, we'll have standard operating procedures help to guide the detection and elimination of illicit discharges, which an illicit discharge is anything that's not stormwater. So things like sediment laden water, oil spills, the thing in chemicals, even green waste that's getting into the storm drain system is all considered an illicit discharge. For now, we can utilize the Weber Morgan Health Department. They'll help us clean up spills. However, ultimately it's our responsibility to do the enforcement and detection and also the bookkeeping behind it. But there are resources to help clean up the spills, because that is a big thing to put on the newly incorporated city. And next slide, please. So construction site runoff, with this one, we're going to follow state laws. State laws are pretty clear about what we can and can't do with construction sites, even down to the fine schedule. So our management plan is going to reflect state laws in that way. One thing we do need to figure out is what criteria we want for high priority construction sites. And that'll be something that we include with ordinances as well. And the city will be responsible for inspecting as well as approving SWIBs and ensuring that construction sites have a pollution. It's a permit from the state. It's either for sites that are over an acre or part of a subdivision, there's just a single lot.
And when you say city,
Yeah.
can you ask the same question?
Yeah.
Who is that? You guys?
So so what we're gonna do, it's not code enforcement. So, one of the reasons you're gonna hear me foot stomp, hiring a public works manager is that person will do this job as one of their many jobs. In the interim, when we take over in August, it's gonna be Aaron being the inspector for this. Because once we take over and we pass ordinances by the 25th of August, the state's, oh, we're done, over to you guys. So that guy right there is our stormwater inspector
Until we have.
the public works manager.
But all of this, just putting it back, all of this goes into the budget, but I heard of an ITP.
All of this is in the budget.
I understand, I'm saying, but for those that are like, we wanna go back through it, all of the inspections, detection, all that costs money.
Right, all of this was priced out and is in the budget, for those who wanna. But come August, it will be Aaron, once we hire a public works manager, be that into.
But this is all part of the stripped down budget.
This is included, so when I provided everything we should do versus everything we must do, this is one of the must do's. And when Aaron talks about the criteria for high priority, we're gonna take a little bit of risk. The must do was the minimum inspection required by law. The should do is more, but I skinnied it down in the must do part of our skinny down budget. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
To make sure we meet the minimums.
Yeah. Does.
And like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of flexibility in the implementation through the 5 years. However, after the 5 years, we do need to follow every permit requirement.
That's what I'm hearing, 5 years comes fast.
Aaron, people are always concerned over the algae blooms and the clarity or not of Pine View. Does that relate to this work?
It does indirectly, because the better we are at controlling construction site runoff, and the better we are at city operations that may cause pollutants to enter the water, it does ultimately affect the water quality. However, it's just one piece of a group of people that are contributing to water quality in Pine View. Any other? Yeah.
Next one.
And then another thing we need to do is long-term stormwater management. We need to inspect detention basins and any other water quality controls that may be within the city. And we also need to figure out what ones we do have in the city and who owns them. And if they're privately owned, we need to have some sort of agreement that we can inspect as well as clean them out.
So this speaks again to priorities. So in the TNT budget, the fully funded budget, is monies to begin to go and find all these. And the skinny down ones, we're probably not gonna be able to do all that this year. We're gonna have to move it to fiscal 28 or 29. Because without the money, we can't do this.
Right,
But the plan,
but
we've
the
written,
money-
we've written the plan such that, because we have 5 years to implement, that we're not gonna do it this first year unless we get the money.
I understand, but the bill is waiting.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
The bill will still come due,
Yeah, the bill doesn't go away.
right?
Unless we do.
No, in
If
5
what-
years, no matter what, we must be in full
Yeah.
100% compliance, so. We could do nothing in 5 years and then have a big bill, or we could ease into it, yeah.
I'm not even thinking about 5 years from now, I'm thinking of the next fiscal year personally.
I understand.
Implementing this. Tia, you had a question?
Well, I just think that some comments I've heard, getting back to the budget, and so that's a little bit off of it. Is that people may not understand that this tax increase will need to happen, whether it's not this year or the next year. It needs to happen.
I would agree.
Every article.
So, back to storm one. The only way to pay for it is with
Yeah.
money. You gotta get money somewhere.
Next slide, please. So then pollution prevention and good housekeeping, this one is probably gonna be the lightest one since this refers a lot to city operations and city maintenance. Like street sweeping, cleaning out catch basins, salt storage for when you plow roads. Basically, you'll need to have standard operating procedures for when those things are built or when they're started to work. Or if you hire somebody out to do those, we need to have those procedures in place for them to follow. And that we need to have any agreements with anybody who's doing maintenance inside the city boundaries that they need to also follow those standard operating procedures.
Aaron,
Yeah.
what's that little kid doing wrong?
So I put that one up there because even like festivals and parades, we need to have
Education.
Education.
well, so yeah, porta potties and like just a cleanup procedure, so there's not a bunch of trash left over. That's something that the state requires from us. But there's nothing going wrong in that picture. It's more of the aftermath that they want to make sure that we cleaned up and made sure that everything's back to how it should be.
Okay.
All right, next slide. So what needs to happen right now? We need to receive those public comments tomorrow, and we finalize the management plan before July 16th. The city council needs to approve the management plan, and we need to submit the NOI and management plan to the state no later than July 26th. And then I think the approval will happen on the 21st. Develop and approve ordinances to implement, so we can start implementing things by the 25th. Finalize an MOU with Ogden Valley Watershed Action Group. That's Les's group that I talked about earlier. And then assume responsibility from the Department of Environmental Quality by August 25th, which is the deadline for us to begin implementing to some degree.
So what we plan to do is we'll have the final for our vote on the 21st. We'll all talk about it in the work session before then. The NOI notice of intent is actually done online. I have the account with the EPA. So once we say yes, I'm going to go on and informally say, here's our notice of intent and here's our stormwater management plan. Those ordinances, Aaron and the team are beginning to draft. You can go to Weber County, Title 40 right now and see what Weber County did, storm drain management. It's going to look something like that. And we'll look at them sometime between now and when we adopt them, no later than the 25th of August. And Les and his group, many of you go to the Watershed Action Group meetings, are just, they're hand in hand. Les is part of this team that built this thing. So, good news.
I have a question about the Ogden Valley Watershed Action Group. Is that for the entire valley or just Ogden Valley City?
Watershed Action Group is focused on the watershed that is the Ogden River. So
They're not like a city.
they are not, yeah, they're not formally associated with us, the city.
Like Huntsville or other places in the valley have to report to them too.
They are a nonprofit associated with the Weaver River Partnership. Their interest is all things in the watershed of the Ogden River. Everything from way up at the top of Monte Cristo, way down to Ogden, I guess. We're using them.
So they're not one of the city's active.
They are not a city entity. We'll have an MOU, a memorandum of understanding with them to help us with the education and outreach, which is their little niche that they're really good at.
Oh, sorry, for the record,
For the record,
Sorry, I'm Edith Songer. I live on 500 South in unincorporated Huntsville, which is now part of the city.
So
Makes
it's-
that difficult.
it's gonna be real busy over the next month and a half. Aaron and the team are doing a great job. And I'll keep sending emails when we have new stuff for everybody to look at.
Yeah, that's everything.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Read all 574 pages if you need insomnia meds.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Great job.
Okay, well, it's for decision. Any questions, anything discussable regarding that? You have a public hearing tomorrow.
There's more for comments.
So the public hearing is a public hearing, just like planning commission and we did. So it's the public's turn to tell us their comments and then we'll take those and go find them.
Any questions? No? Comments? Okay. All right, thank you very much, from JB. Let's do, number 7, which is a update on the fee schedule.
Miss Kathy, can you pull up that Word document I sent you, please? And hopefully, don't accept the changes, but get it out of red if you can do whatever format it is. So Brian Garber, are you online? Brian Garber.
Yes, sir, I am.
All right. You get to explain all of the proposed changes with respect to planning. Then Nate will go over, if need be, the couple that are in here for engineering and stormwater.
Thank
Just a
you.
real quick question though, is this updated since the one we posted in the packet?
No.
Well,
Is the same one?
I don't know.
July,
I met with Brian last week on Thursday, but I don't know if there was an update from that one.
okay,
Brian, this is the last and final I had from you. Over to you to tell us if there's a newer version.
Yeah, this is the copy that was included in the packet
thank
and was last updated last Thursday. So just a quick review. As planning staff were looking through the fee structure a few months ago, we felt like some of the activities and fees being charged were not going to be adequate to cover the expenses of actual review processes for these various activities. Particularly, there were 4 that simply because of the nature of the review process that we're using, where the city is contracting with JUB to provide these review services. We wanted to make sure that we were covering actual costs and actual expenses that the consultant would be billing to the city, as opposed to a method that most communities use with just a flat rate where over time, the expenses average out, where some applications take less time to review than the cost of the flat rate, while or flat fee, while other applications may take additional resources, but over time, they kind of balance out. We feel like with the structure that we're using to review these applications and with the city's current financial situation, we felt like it would be wise to recommend changes that bill more of the actual costs to the applicant and don't rely on the law of averages to help make sure that the city is balancing out.
Right, so if I could just interject really quickly, Brian, for the public, again, this is one of many examples of how your city council is trying to keep costs low for regular residents, keep your taxes only paying for what they need to pay for. It's a lot easier if we just do a flat rate, and anything that gets charged over gets paid through taxes, it's paid through a different fund. We are doing our very best to, even though it's extra work and a little bit more complicated, we're trying to make sure that the actual costs of things are going to the applicants who are applying for those, that charge those costs. It's not how Weaver County was run, it's not, this is a change we're making to try to keep things accurate and low. So, there you go.
Well, just to the point, you said it's not how Weaver County run. It runs because Weaver County's been around for so long, they have a structure in place to take care, to feed that a little bit better than we have, because we're new, we're choosing to do it this way.
And Weaver County did not recover all the costs of their
Right,
planning.
they made a choice financially.
They used some general fund tax money.
They have a structure in place to allow them to use some other ways of paying for that.
Yeah, they chose to. They
That's the
chose to.
choice they made.
We're hoping that our fee structure is self-funds the departments of the permitting department, the engineering department, and the planning department when it comes to fees paid to build and do developments.
Yeah.
That is our intent.
Otherwise, it's paid by.
It'll have to come out of general people's taxes.
People's tax.
It'll come out of the property tax and the sales tax.
So, and there are laws, I know there's chatter about, well, just charge more. There are laws that prohibit you doing that. You have to keep everything proportional to the actual cost. So here we're actually trying to say exactly what the actual cost is, the applicant will pay. And that way we don't have to dip into people's tax money to pay for a particular person's project.
So the intent, Brian, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this verbiage will be on City Inspect to explain to their user what they're doing and why they're doing it, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
To summarize, the proposal is that for a few activities, we've called out 4. Those activities will be billed at cost, at which point the city will collect a deposit amount, and that deposit amount is detailed.
Hang on a second, Brian, we're gonna go down to there. Are you looking at the screen while we're talking?
Yes, yeah, I can see the screen.
Tell us where to go.
Okay, so go down one more page, I guess. Okay, right there.
Oh,
Sorry, go back up to the bottom of that page. Yep, where we're looking at conditional use permits and variances. Those were 2 of the options where we felt like, due to the complex nature of the review of these types of applications, where they often require a public hearing and notification of neighboring property owners, things like that. All of these are expenses that the city can incur in ensuring that public process requirements are met. We are going to ask, we're proposing that the city ask for a $4,000 deposit in the case of conditional use permits and $6,000 in the case of variances. That deposit will then be placed in an escrow account, and a task order will be created between the city and JUB, where consultants will track hours and bill rates based on the agreed upon fee schedule that we have for the various professional services that we provide. And then those actual costs will be deducted from the deposit once the review is done. If there is a balance left within that escrow account, the balance of funds will be returned to the applicant. If the review does end up exceeding that balanced amount, that deposit amount, then upon the agreeing of the city and the applicant to proceed, the city may ask the applicant to add additional money to that deposit escrow, and then the review can continue until it's complete. And that way, and again, and all of these actual cost calculations will be available for review by the applicant to justify the city's expenses and the consultant's
Okay,
time in
right.
reviewing these.
Councilmember Shaw's got a question for you.
Yeah, Brian, just the 650 and the 750 is what Weaver County charged, and it wasn't a deposit. It was just what they charged, right?
That's correct. And we are, these estimates are based on a service that we have provided for other clients, a similar service that we've provided. And in our experience so far, these estimates are always intentionally high, and we have not ever exceeded any of these deposits with other clients before. There have always been funds returned to the applicant. But while we understand that that is a big difference between a $650 application fee and a $4,000 deposit, Ogden Valley City's processes are going to be different than Weber County's processes, and we just want to ensure that your costs are being covered.
I think the most important thing to remind everybody is the language that talks about it being fully refundable, any amount not used gets returned directly to the applicant, but also that this is a signed agreement between the applicant and the city. Nothing is being done without full consent of the applicant.
That's correct.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt, we'll continue.
Keep
So if
on
you scroll
paging
down-
down.
Oh, sorry. Yes, please. Thank you. If you'll see on the next page, there are 2 additional fee items that the cost amount is listed at actual cost. We have the appeals process, and then zoning map amendments or rezone requests. Those 2 are more, we felt it would be appropriate to levy those actual costs on those more complex processes. For some of the other fee items, we've recommended an increase in a flat fee simply because the dollar amounts we felt like the dollar amounts that were included were a little low. For example, the general plan amendment application, we recommend increasing that to $1,000. $1,000 is actually the fee that Weber County charges for that activity. So in fact, in all of those cases, the change for the flat fee rate is to be equal with what Weber County has levied for those activities in the past.
Well, I think actually it's still gonna be subsidized because the amount of hours of a staff or, the planner and whatnot, if we are to process an application to amend the general plan, that involves, the actual process of it involves a lot of hours with expert staff, as well as then the procedures that go along with it, public hearings, meetings from both planning commission and city council, as well as if it ends up being approved. Prior to that, it'd be mailers and everything else, so that flat rate is probably still not an actual cost.
That's true. It is probably lower than what real costs will be. However, this is a very rare occurrence.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that it's not all, people are still getting a little bit of a deal here.
That's true.
Keep paging down through, please, Brian.
But what would be the harm in putting that in a schedule that's based on cost and requiring a deposit? If we're anticipating we're gonna lose money on it, why don't we just move
I would
it?
just argue we need to, it doesn't happen very often that one particular person wants to amend the whole general plan. And we need to get this adopted. This was on our schedule on our agenda over a month ago. So let's get something adopted, and then if we wanna go in and amend that further, we could, but. Well,
Yeah,
it's
that would be-
for a month to do
Yeah,
this.
that would be my request of the planning side. If there's a better way to do that, let's come back with another change to this. Yeah.
Yep.
Keep going, Brian.
The fees on this page are largely untouched. We did change the minor subdivision request, which is for a subdivision of 4 or fewer lots. But we're comfortable with those other fees. If you'll scroll to the next page, please. Actually, I'm going to ask you to skip these excavation fees and go down one more page just for a second.
Hang on 2 seconds there. What is highlighted is what we looked at a month ago, and Nate briefed us a month ago on those. And at the time, they were good to go. I just left them highlighted because that was the change from the current ones. Okay, go down.
You'll go down a little bit more to the next red line edits. So a couple of other fees that we felt it would be wise to include were a stormwater activity fee to review and inspect any of the proposed stormwater improvements, whether on site or within city systems. That was one recommended to us that we felt would be wise to include. And then the next one was just a statement that, but under state law, the city is allowed to collect a 5% fee of the construction cost estimate for any public improvements for any construction project within the city. And this 5% is intended to be used to cover the city's costs for review and inspection of those construction plans and sites. And so we wanted to make it clear that the city would be levying that 5% fee to help cover those planning and engineering review and inspection costs. And that's it.
That is the end of the document.
Good.
Any questions of Brian or Nate?
Just, we have some infrastructure districts, PIDs here, and does this count, are they under this also? You know, there's.
Well, this applies to all new permit requests once we adopt this. So if a PI,
Yeah.
if they are required to go through this process, then yes, it would. That would be my answer. I don't know if they're required to.
Something to look at.
Well, and it just begs the question, who issues a building permit or an excavation permit? It's, I'll go out on a limb and say it's the city. But yeah,
I hope so. Okay.
So this, we will go final on these changes. Take proposed and proposed out of 5 and 6, Brian. Down at the bottom, it says proposed, make them final. And let's get them to Corbin, copy Kay, copy Janet, so that we can make sure there's one final of this that's attached to the resolution or ordinance, whatever it is for tomorrow.
and Brian, get it to me, Corbin and I split the work he's doing, and I'm gonna adopt the prior resolution. And so I've got the keyboard on this, I'll make Corbin's speak on.
Right. We'll have that to you this afternoon.
We're
Oh, that's
close to this one.
Well, this, I just want to point out that council members have updated. This is with regard to planning and stormwater and engineering and all this other stuff. There were comments on the spreadsheet that they also want to do a similar situation for STR business licenses and all that stuff.
So
We're passing this to get, because we're leaving money on the table every time we don't pass this. We're gonna pass this, but separately, there is another project.
last Monday, we agreed in July, which we're now in, that we're gonna get the business license ordinance done and figure this out. So now Tia and I and whoever else need to jump on top of business license.
yours.
Yep, all of us together. But yeah, we're net zero right now because Weber County is just keeping the money, but we're leaving money on the table. So let's.
Take it back. All right, so that's in tomorrow's meeting for action. Agenda item 8, discussion on city name and vision statement.
Yes, and this may take a little longer than the 10 minutes too, but well, the vision, I'm not sure what we're gonna do there.
Okay.
So I have the city meeting.
Yes.
So before we begin with the individual preferences, I would just like to wrap up what information we know so far. The community members, which are co-chair for the Name the City, well, we call it the Naming Advisory Group is here, Edith and Victoria. And they had done a number of surveys out in the community. They came to us with that information. We asked them to throw a wider net, and we did. They connected with Weber State, and they did helped us with our surveys and our analytics, crunch the numbers. After that presentation by Mia, Edith followed up and got a second email from Mia that she sent out to everybody about the district's preferences. So that's the information. Kathy, if you'll put that one up. It's in the folder. If you'll put that one up, just so it gets on public record. Pardon? No one. Yeah. It's the same one in the folder, so wherever you're at. It would be great. And I hope you all saw that, because there were questions about what did my district say. And
She had a subfolder called city name.
Oh, we got stuff trying to share. Well, I remember them. I'm saying getting that.
And I know Edith and Victoria are here and want to share some of their thoughts and maybe highlights or impressions from the survey. So I don't know who wants to go first, if we can just take a few minutes.
Who wants to go first?
Just up to the line, Victoria, thanks.
Okay, I did send out an email this morning. I know that's really late, so I'm not sure if anyone had a chance to look it over. I'm not gonna go over the data right now. I did do a summary of the surveys from both the grassroots and the committee / Weber State side of things. But I did want to bring up a couple of points, especially address a couple of questions. The first is, why should we consider the grassroots numbers? And I would say it's because of the Weber State numbers. It was overwhelmingly, it confirmed what we had found on our own. And so they corroborated, they supported each other on that. So that was very validating for us, and we were glad to see that. There's been a question about duplicate responses. 2 of our surveys that we did, 2 of the larger ones, we did require email addresses. And so from those we could see, and we used Google Forms. So this was pretty simple, but we could go through, and it was required for them to plug in an address. Could easily search and delete multiple email addresses, including their entire response. For example, in survey 6, which is our largest, which we actually have final numbers on that, where that survey finished up after we provided you all with our little binders. We ended up having 818 respondents on that. I went through and I deleted 70 of those responses, and then I compared before and after. And the top 10 names in each of them remained the same. Only and I actually just wrote it there, the 8th and the 9th choices, switch choices, they were about 15 points apart. So you can see that, yes, we want to be able to pull those out. But with large numbers, the survey results remained reliable. Additionally, when we spoke with the Weber State people, because we didn't have personal access to the survey, we specifically spoke with Dr. Johnson and brought up that question. There's questions about multiple answers going through, and what we can report is that they said they had seen that there were responses being redacted. And also Dr. Johnson said, even if some get through with these kinds of numbers, it's not going to affect the overall results, which is what we saw with our survey 6. Similarly, in that survey 6, when we gave you our results, there were about 508 respondents versus the final numbers, which were 818, and the numbers were the same. So you can see that once you get a good amount of numbers, it holds pretty well. And then I don't know if anyone, did you get a chance to look over the email list at all that I sent? I brought a couple of copies, but this is what I wanted to emphasize here. And we're 2 and 3 and 4 members here who had and 3 here who were involved with the committee, which seems like a small number. This is from the grassroots phase. And I don't know if that's not okay. I'm just gonna flip through it. This is from the grassroots. The combination of the emails that we requested and required from surveys number 2 and number 6. There are no duplicates here. Each of these pages There's 125 email addresses. These are redacted, so I'm gonna go ahead and give them to you. It's front and back. It's sometimes easy to see a big number and just dismiss it. Each of these is a person who has responded. On this one, and we just go through and I typed them very, very small. From the grassroots, there were 1,114 unique emails. For the other one, from the Weber State survey 1, we didn't require an email address, but if they wanted to add one, they could, so that we could email them for the follow-up survey. So not required, but what they put in, same thing, redacted, deleted any duplicates. So these are all individual email addresses. And on this one, there were 880 individual email addresses. So that are unique from each other. One last little thing I wanted to point out is that we saw some trends where they changed some of their priority or their favorite name, particularly in District 5. We are the southeast corner of the valley. And also when we were going through dividing them by area, we found that Pineview, for example, which was the top choice in District 5, decreased in popularity as it got further away from the lake. So it's really a very simple proximity circumstances. So those who identified as being from Nordic Valley or Liberty, then Pineview was like 5 or 6 down the list. And similar with Eden, way more popular in Eden, and as you got out a little further, a little less popular, although it did remain overall pretty popular. That's what I'd like to say. That's all I have to share. Do you have any questions?
As a resident of District 5, it occurred to me in this whole exercise.
Yeah.
You all didn't have a name.
Yes,
You all
and that's
don't have a name yourself.
that is
You're
partly-
unincorporated.
yes. When you ask me the questions from, it's like Huntsville, not Huntsville, formerly unincorporated Huntsville.
I'm trying to get into the habit of saying South Fork because people understand that.
That's
It
interesting.
hasn't taken root yet.
That's
So
indeed.
that is why it's been a little more important to us, I think. That's why it's
All up in Valley City.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
but thank you. Go ahead, Don.
Victoria,
Yes.
did you have numbers on the very final survey, not one but two?
No.
We did hold that to you or?
What numbers?
That-
what
that-
numbers?
Yeah,
She,
for Weber State.
right,
We
so,
gave you that information.
Do you mean numbers for
so you,
districts or?
Yes, she said those.
Yeah.
The deduplication, you said after you deduped, it was.
Just a second.
can I finish my question?
Sure.
Thank you. You referenced total distinct emails for 2 of them. Do you have total distinct emails or total distinct votes for the final survey?
I would, we
From-
only received, we got an Excel chart from survey part 1.
So we-
Because that's the Weber State. That was an important thing for us to actually keep ourselves informed.
So do we have, so I'm getting many comments from many citizens, not just in District 5, about the whole question of a multiple voting on the final survey.
Right, and Dr. Johnson told us that, because we asked about that, when we first started survey 1, the first couple of.
I would like, well,
Answer to your
can I
question.
finish my statement, please? So I've
I thought you
received,
had.
I hadn't. I've received multiple comments on the final one. I have, from multiple people, had I voted 5, 6, 7 times on the final one. I need to see from Dr. Johnson why or how those were not counted or only one were counted. That would help me. We don't have an answer that I don't believe we have an answer to that. He said, well, it's analytics and it's really fancy and whatever, my word's not his. If he can show us how he or they or the system said, yep, we proved that that person voted 6 times and we only counted it once, that would at least be able to answer what I'm receiving from multiple people that they claim to have voted multiple times and they are suspicious of the final survey. Now I'm done with my.
Thank you. Edith, did you
wanna jump in or jump into this?
Well, there's a couple of things I can say about that. Number one, they set the controls tighter for the second survey that Weaver State did than the first survey. And there was a little statement in, like, they sent us the dashboard information, and there was a little statement at the bottom that said, your settings, your duplicate filtering settings may be too strong because more, I guess they expect a certain amount to get through. And not very many were getting through. And so they said, you're actually setting this so strong, you might be eliminating some people who are using the same device in the same home in the similar time frame, like a husband and a wife. And that might actually have taken away some people's vote. So there were duplicates being blocked, and whether or not the person voting could see that, I do not know.
What would be useful for me is beyond a statement by Dr. Johnson, send us an email or something explaining how the system kept the duplicates from being counted. That way I can answer that question or that comment when it's passed on to me. I hear what you're saying. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but there's an awful lot of there's some suspicion of it because of the fact that these people claim to voted. I don't know if it was counted, but they said, look, Don, I voted 6 times. And if I did, others did. How can we trust this? So we need something beyond.
Dr. Johnson saying.
Well, send us something on how his analytics kept that from happening. And then we can say, here's how it didn't happen.
Right, and we could do that. We could follow up with that. Absolutely. The 2 points we know is what I was gonna start with is the first survey. Yes, we heard that at the beginning. So we called Mia and said, people are saying they can vote more than once. What's happening? So she said, she set the controls to stop that. So that was in the first survey where people said, do you want to change the name? And if so, what are, so those were the 2 questions. So after that, the second survey, Dr. Johnson told us when we asked that specific question in a meeting with him, the settings were there, the duplicates are not impacting the numbers. So if there were duplicates, it doesn't impact the overall. So if you want, I would be happy to ask him to put that in writing.
Which one of the 6 votes was counted?
I don't know that.
I would like him to answer that question.
Well, can I ask you something then? Will you write down the specific questions you want? I'm happy to forward that to him. Because that would help us then know exactly what you're getting at. So if you can do that, then we can send it to Dr. Johnson and get your response. Because I'm not Qualtrics expert.
You're not a data.
I know nothing
how to
about
do that.
Qualtrics. All I know is I'm getting peppered by people who are claiming to have voted for multiple times and the system didn't stop them from voting.
Right. Can you ask them the next time I ask you that exact question, whether it was survey 1 or survey 2?
But every one of them has alleged it was the second survey. I'm calling it the final.
When I tried to vote second multiple times, and I would always put a comment in the comment here, add like, this is my duplicate response. I could not get through.
There we go. All I know is that I'm receiving, they may be trying to blow smoke up my pants too. I don't know.
And I don't know how to answer that. So write down your questions. We're happy to send them out. I'll get answers.
Councilmember Shaw. Is that it?
Thank you. Mine's a different question. You showed us a list that you had emails on, and then another list that you had emails on. Have you compared to see if those are the same emails on the 2 lists, if they're the same people taking the survey?
I have not, but I brought both to show that the one group is from the grassroots survey.
Right.
And the second is, and I could actually put them in a chart very easily.
Yeah.
And so we could find out how many unique addresses we have across all of those surveys. We could do that.
Yeah. How many of the same people are taking the survey?
Right.
Each time.
And that's the only way I can measure it from that is a unique
And
email address.
Also, I'm wondering about how many people in District 2, 3, and 4 live in Eden.
I don't know if I'm the one if you're asking about so for our, we only asked for their area that they lived in survey 6, and it was just self-identifying.
Districts though.
Yes, in the Weaver State ones, it was by district.
Yeah.
Hopefully they knew and reported it correctly. we did have informing the survey, the last one especially. And Dr. Johnson really wanted us to leave it as open and not controlling as possible. Because in his experience, the more fast forward, the more people are like frightened to give information and then they won't give the answer survey.
I have, okay, go ahead.
You go ahead,
Well, I need you to open that up so I can.
I'll jump into the comment.
Yes.
I just wanna, so,
there you go.
I was under the impression that this has all been about unique email addresses, which many people have multiple email addresses. I don't know if the people that voted more than once use different email address, I don't know, but that takes effort. They obviously wanted to vote more than once if they did it that way. But then one of the comments that I think Edith made was the same computer in a household. So we have a family computer in our office, but my husband works under his email, I work under my email. Did you go at all or recognize IP addresses, or are you just talking?
Yes. I mean, we don't know this for our own, we were told this by the Weaver State team. We did not set any of these. Qualtrics is a well-recognized company that has an agreement with many colleges, which is why Weaver State can use it for free and we couldn't. And yes, they had multiple different ways, AI assisted as well as, IP addresses, server addresses.
So it's not just me on my computer under my personal,
No.
under my
Your
work,
email
under my
address
whatever,
was
it's all
not-
one IP address.
Your email did not, was not required in any form on the Weaver State surveys, and therefore it didn't have an effect. You could have put the same survey email in your little contact me box at the end, it wouldn't have changed that.
So an individual,
Hold on, we got other survey.
Okay, what's next in the big to you?
I think we gotta step back and look at the big picture here. How much more can be done? A lot was done by a volunteer team and the Weaver State Connection used Qualtrics, the standard, industry standard, which they even used to rename the hockey team, whatever it's named now. Mammoth. So the tools are there, but the real big picture is regardless of the vote outcome, we decide here at the table.
Right.
So, in arbitration, for example, if an arbitrator hears some evidence and it's a little questionable, the word is take it for what it's worth. It's taking the temperature 3 or 4 times of what community impact is. And we could totally ignore that list and name it, my favorite name is, please don't move here, you're from Mountain. I won't say that. No, but we really have to say, it's a measure, it's a test, and take now the focus off of the survey. Because we've done about everything and not spent any money, not spent any money at all. And then take the responsibility and take the evidence, take the information for what it's worth. And then it's up to us. Okay.
Before we go back to Tia, just to follow up on that, we have another team member here, Lonnie Martinez. We did spend some money because it was very important for us to get it out to everybody, citizens. So we spent donations that Lonnie went out and got about $2,000 worth of donations. So we could do a mailer. So this team designed a mailer, got it out to every resident in the valley. Everybody had an opportunity to weigh in here. It's just like getting your ballot in the mail to vote for us. Everybody had an opportunity, whether they chose to or not, that's their option. But we want you to know we did everything we can to get people involved, to get people to weigh in. It is a data point. It is a voice of our community. So I think we can't dismiss it as arbitrary. This was it, and it's been validated by a number of runs through. And it is something we have to consider as we weigh this, because yes, we make the decision, but let's make it on some solid information. Let's make really informed choices. So that's why it's here. That's what we get to do.
Well, again, my question, how many people in these 3 districts, which was, if you add the numbers up, the bulk of who voted, who took the survey, live in Eden. But I'm a little confused because when I looked at what you were sent, that email that you uploaded here. It says District 1, 305 respondents likely preference Eden. And then I go down to district response counts, 305 respondents. So is that telling me that
Every single.
305 people that responded from District 1 all responded to Eden?
No, this is the likely preference, because on that scale, I believe it was rated on what they liked and didn't like, so it was a likely preference, it wasn't. And that's how they analyze this data to you. I don't know if you have a question you want us to forward, I'd be happy to do that. We'll add it to Don's list, unless you guys have any other response to that.
Which survey was this?
The last
Well,
one.
I'm just looking at what Mia sent.
Yeah, did you put that back up, Kathy? I'm sorry. The
So
number.
what Kathy had there was not actually the most recent thing that Mia sent. That was the survey one. What I forwarded to all of you.
That's the one that's up here.
That's the one.
Was that one? I don't.
The Edith, that's it came from Mia on, I don't know if I put the date.
Is it on the 24th?
It's a graphic. It wasn't. Well, no, there was,
No,
it's been a while, but there was a graphic. What she sent was, it didn't look exactly like that. And I didn't send it from my phone, so it probably won't have the record as being sent.
This data that was in our packet.
That's the
and
last I got.
Right, this is June 24th from
June
Eden.
24th. It maybe it translated out of the graphic.
I'm gonna guess here that she was doing a summary of parts 1 and 2. And in her first email that she actually sent to our committee, she gave the top name suggestions with counts. These are not divided by district, however, but she did give the, number 1 Eden is 692. These are the suggestions, right? It was an open suggestion box, followed by East Valley, Pineview Valley, Ogden Valley. And then I guess with the, because she asked to have it divided out, I think if I recall, she just said District 1 preferred this
Right,
way,
it was a likely.
and District 2 preferred this, because the second calculation was only how much do you like on a scale from 0 to 10? And we have those numbers as well.
Right, so that's what I put into the packet, was the last thing I got from Mia. And so it was just a likely preference in a second based on that scale.
And the reason they say likely is because it is a survey. But Qualtrics being a really high quality platform for surveys, it's not a vote. So they can't say we have this many people who voted between these two choices and you got these numbers. They can say, we project that this will represent your entire area, and the numbers are really good. If you ever look at KSL articles, they had a thing not that long ago where they said Utahns think this. And then at bottom it said how many respondents represented Utah. 800 respondents. And they could project that would be, depending on how you collect the data, which we did our very best to make it available to everyone. It's a good number.
I'm gonna go with Councilman Booth because we hadn't from her yet.
Yeah, I'm just following up with what Kay said. I agree with Kay that we have to kind of step back and take the data that we've got and appreciate it. Oh, I know you guys have spent a lot of time on it. At this point, like what's your confidence levels with spending the most time out of everybody on the results?
My confidence levels are high that the most popular name of Onion Valley is Eden. It wasn't my first choice, and I couldn't just deny all the responses that we got. And I will say this, that when you get people coming to you individually, that sounds like a lot, right? But if you got 40 people who came to you versus 1,600 who voted for, the numbers, the minority who are very afraid of losing what they have or think that other people are trying to take something from them, they make their voices sound very loud. But the overall numbers, the people who sit in the background and just continue to vote the same, they don't get fussy because they haven't changed their minds. They feel they know they're in the majority, and so they don't get in your face.
Yeah.
My bottom line is, besides the big picture, you, taking for what it's worth, it's a survey. I don't know what else you guys could have done.
Right, you guys are-
What else?
Right.
And that was, we have investigated whether we could put it on a ballot, it's not a proper ballot question under Utah law. And you guys have excelled, and I can't imagine anything more other than knocking on every single door.
And I think what you're getting is you're recognizing from the 5 and 6 of us that it's a sensitive topic and we know it, and we don't wanna just like, okay, it's easy, we're going with it, you know, I think there's a
I can.
concern of making that decision, because it's gonna be so long lasting, so we're sitting here saying, well, what if, not really, I think, wanting to make that decision, because it is such a hot topic, right? I mean, kind of-
heard you get the variety.
yeah. I got you, that's this morning, exactly
People
what.
ask more questions about the name than they do about raising taxes. Which loves me to, it speaks to the emotions.
And that came out with the construction guys. He
Mhm.
said, you know, I've heard more about the name than I have. So thank you, Lonnie, Victoria, Edith, and Linda.
Yeah, I have one final thing, this will be an immense amount of work, once if we do change the name, so if you could like enlist all of your volunteer team to be available to help. I mean, our IT director herself goes pale when we talk about needing to change all the names
We
we've
fully,
established, yeah.
we fully intend to be
Yeah,
available
thank
with
you.
volunteer hours as well as, I feel that we could also collect more donations for people who are interested in the question.
Amazing.
We had a donation come in today.
Very nice.
Lonnie, you wanna-
Everything's Liberty. So are we gonna, but are you gonna put all the top names in a hat? Like, well,
No.
and then you guys get to, how do you?
No, what I'd like to do next, Lonnie, to answer that, is I just wanted to get out what we do know. And again, it is a data point. It is a lot of work in a survey, and I do think it's people telling us what they want. We decide that we 5, I don't think you wrote on this one, Joe. So we 5 make that call. So what I'd like to do is take the temperature of the room, and should we ask where we're at with this?
Oh, I think we should make a deadline and say, let's get this off.
What are we gonna-
Right, so can I kind of see where we're at?
Yeah.
Is that good? Can we
Our
start?
people are ready.
Are you ready? Am I pushing?
Nobody would be voting today or
No, but kind of
tomorrow.
where you're leaning, the name you'd like, you know.
Oh, you want them to state the name?
Yeah. Can we do that? Are we ready? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but we gotta move on this,
Yeah.
one way or another.
Being that it's such a sensitive topic, I live in basically downtown Eden, and so. I'm fine with it being Eden, I think that my preference was probably being a more neutral name like Pine View. Just to start anew, but I love Eden, and I also controversially love Ogden Valley. Because I think that I kind of use the reverse psychology on it, and I say, I hope people think of Ogden and say, oh, that's a gross place, I don't like that. The same thing about Ogden Valley, because anything south of Farmington, I have a sister in Salt Lake, she grew up in Huntsville. Her opinion of like Ogden, not Ogden Valley, but Ogden has changed since he's lived in Salt Lake.
Oh, yeah.
People think of Ogden. So I kind of like the reverse psychology of it and say, keep us close to Ogden. I love it.
Anyone else want to share where they're at?
I'm partial to getting the term valley in the name, because when I grew up, and I like Ogden Valley, you know, but we always talk about valley, going to valley. Pine View. When I grew up, it was the dam, you know, we're going to Pine View, and I'm not sure, someone noted if it were Pine View, it would be named after a reservoir. So I'm working through those issues.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing.
What about you, Peggy? You're pointing it out.
Yes, anybody else, me? This is one I really, being here 40 years, I really don't have an attachment to Ogden Valley. I have more of an attachment to Eden, it's my post office. And I've written it my whole life, you know, the last 4 years, Eden. So
I lean that way towards Eden. And I would, right now, if my feet were to the fire, I would say I'm going with my constituents who voted for 370 of them, voted for a preference of Eden. So that's where I would leave.
See, that's my question. I don't think if it's 305 people in Liberty, I don't think I'll fit in my high vote with Eden. Yeah, this is telling me.
It says it's their likely preference. It doesn't say they voted for it, but they could live with it. It was rated
Based off of
high on the scale. It was rated high. And
People ranked a lot of different things.
Yeah. All right, Chief Director Heather Handler.
I'm just gonna play devil's advocate because no one's asked, but has anyone actually looked into the cost of doing this? Because we don't have any money.
But boy, do we have volunteers.
So here,
Yeah.
do their work for free again though.
Yeah.
Well, there
It is a good point. Yeah, the cost is another data point that we should look at. Well, anybody else want to weigh in?
If they want to.
Sure, I'll weigh in. I am for Ogden Valley all the way. All the way. I am not in the cancel culture. I believe that Ogden Valley is a historical name. And there's a lot of history, and I'm not willing to wipe that. This is my.
What I am not willing, I want to see the data, you have any questions? I will respect District 5's opinions in their vote. I want to see all the data. Therefore, I'm not willing to vote for Eden because I represent District 5. What I am willing to vote for, what my preference would be, I don't know. Edith and I were talking about Pineview, and to me, it's sort of the least bad is the way it seems to come out in the votes. I haven't lived here long enough to 15 years, of course, as I'm a newbie. I'm shocked by the antipathy is not the right word, but why are people so against Ogden Valley? I'm with T on that one. I don't understand that, but so be it. Well, because we don't want to be Ogden, and I will say to people, well, Peter Skin Ogden never set foot in Ogden for crying out loud. He came through here, a trespassing Canadian, mind you, but he came through here. So I've made a statement. What I will not vote. I don't know what I would vote for, but I'm only 1 of 5.
All right, Edith Summer, South Fork. I just want to say.
South Fork isn't on the list.
No, I just want to say, there has been a great deal of association between the name of the city, which has been around for 6 months, and the name of the valley, which has been around for hundreds of years, whatever it is. And people say, how can you dare to get rid of this historical name by changing the name of the 6-month-old city? And somehow missing the point that it doesn't matter what we call the city, Ogden Valley is still called Ogden Valley and will continue. We can't actually change the name
We're
of
gonna
that.
debate this, Stephen. I'm gonna make it a debate, but Ronald Reagan said that things can change in 1 generation. I can't quote exactly what he said. 1 generation. What we call it, a generation later, it will not be Ogden Valley. It will be whatever we call it.
What you believe that whatever we call the city will be the name of the
I
valley?
believe it will be that. Yes.
Well, there is also nothing to change it if we keep the name Ogden Valley City, which 73% of people do not want us to do.
Of the people that took the survey.
Of the people that took the survey, which is a good representative survey.
Yeah.
73% of them don't want that, but there's nothing to stop. If you keep the name Ogden Valley City, other people from starting to call this Eden Valley. And over time, it just as easily could change to be Ogden Valley City in Eden Valley. There is no control over what the name of the valley is. It is what it is currently. And for all we know, for all intents and purposes, the history would hold on to the name of the valley. It does with or without the city. That is what I firmly believe.
And thank you for that, and I expressed my opinions.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what it is.
it doesn't have to be a debate, it's everyone, but we want to root our thoughts into some concrete things. Because I believe that we did this for a purpose, to get a sense of what the Valley wanted. And I happened to think, boy, that's not very many, 300 and something in my district. But I went and looked up how many people voted for me, and I'm sitting here, 400, a little over 400 people voted for me. So even if we did a ballot thing, you know, yes, but even if we did, that's still a representative sample. So let's take this for what it was and what we did, our best job at trying to get this, get as many people as we could. And we tried to do it, you were there, Tia, as neutral as we could, to not slant to one name or another, because we had very passionate discussions about this.
Yes, yeah.
So, and the last thought, we do have to set a timeline on how to get this done and go one way or another, because the longer we take, the more we have to change, if we change or not. So I just think this was a data point, the beginning of a discussion. The majority is gonna rule on this, so whatever we decide will be a vote of the 5 of us. And this just gave you some data to make those decisions.
There are some chatty people making comments online, and they will be part of the transcript, so that we're not losing those. So we don't actually have to go through them, but just wanted to make note that this is a very active topic for our, you know, for our council.
So,
We get the there's some water.
I,
Oh, okay. It's on that. Oh, okay.
so is it a fair statement to say that all of the comments on the chat, which by the way is different than public comment, but on that chat can be put into the minutes as comment from residents?
I can do that. I can take them from the screen. If you'd like to do that, I can do that.
Provided that they are, not seen.
Yes. I can sanitize them and do that.
Just, it's gonna be on public record, so as long as
Well,
they're.
they are part of the transcript,
Yeah. Okay,
so I don't think they're not in the recording because they were not stated.
right, that's why I'm saying like, can we appease this by putting in the minutes? I have got to get us to move on, we have more agenda items and this has taken a considerable amount of time.
Yeah, you predicted it, Peggy.
I did.
Well, okay, but the end result is, I mean, so what, people? When do you want to make this decision? It's not today, it's not tomorrow, because the agendas are posted. When would you like to put this on an agenda?
To make a decision? I don't know if we're close to that yet.
There's 5 individuals. If 5 individuals know what they want to vote, you're exactly where you need to be to make a decision.
By the end of August.
Ooh, I would say by the end of July.
Oh.
I've given my opinion.
What else do we have to do?
There's a whole bunch of stuff.
Discussion about it. I just like to hear from the council so that we can see what a majority.
Well, we are creating our organizational structure in 2 extra meetings in July. We're creating a stormwater management plan and a whole bunch of other stuff. My opinion is by the end of August.
I hear you, that's one. And she runs by the end of July. Yes, one.
Vote by July, implement January 1st.
Any time frame is.
It won't take that long to change all of the label names and.
We have one more vote in July. It's the 21st.
Hang on. Do you have an opinion on timeline?
I don't have an opinion on timeline.
Okay, that's perfectly valid.
That's a vote.
Okay, so there's not a vote. It's not a vote today. Vision statement was also on this line item. Do you want to give an update?
Yes, certainly. If we go to the package. Real quickly, it was sent out by Christine.
Oh, sorry, and I meant to wrap this up and I apologize. I want to point out, I'm gonna liken this back to an article I just wrote for the latest paper. Anytime people decide to do self-governance, we just celebrated the 250th anniversary of our country. It comes with privileges, it comes with responsibilities. And I want to say thank you to you two. You have put in an enormous amount of work. You, not just you two, you have team members and a source of volunteers, but in particular, I know that you two have taken the brunt of people's ire, which comes a lot with when you stick your neck out, you try to help, you also receive blowback. And this is all volunteer, this is all, when people say they love the valley. Let me see your actions, not your words, right? And these are people who have stuck out for over a year, they've been doing this. Out of love for the valley. And I want to point that out, and I want to say that you guys have fully embodied that there is a responsibility, not just from elected officials, from residents. When you vote to incorporate and self-govern, you have to get involved. And you all have been an embodiment of that, and I want to thank you for it.
Well, may I add, this was one of our first advisory committees that we set out,
Yeah.
and they did an amazing job, so nice work.
So vision statement, sorry, we gotta make a
It's just
vision
real
statement.
quick, and I put it in the packet, Christine had sent the latest version. Christine had met with us in January and brought it forward from work done in October. One of the first things we did as a group.
Because it.
We then took it to the next phase and tried to shorten, simplify, because we know people don't read long stuff. And so you see some of the product there. We did this in January, February on our own time on separate meetings. And then we were hit with all the work that's ensued with planning, et cetera. So it got deferred. Look at what is there. And change. I think some of the words, when I look back after 4 months since touching it, not all the words are singing. What does sing and can be used to modify is the little diagram that was in there. The little scorecard really held up pretty well if you use. And for purposes of planning our structure in these retreats we have coming up, I think what is called the action issues, do you have it up? No, it's just the very last set of phrases really hold up. It's the success factors and goals. So my first opinion, those are the two strongest things. The words can change on vision, how long you want to go, how short you want to go. But I think the visual is really good. And it's everyone's. I personally don't want either Christine or me to touch it. It's like, it has to be looked at by all of us and put final touches on it.
I talked to Christine today, I did my interview since I was gone the last few days. And she is asking for if there are any edits, if anybody goes in, sees anything, this is the time, and send them to her quick game, so that when we have this retreat that's coming up, which I believe is on the 16th, then she can present everything that is fresh and up to date. So she does ask that you all go in, take a look, make sure that it all still sings for you. If not, send her your requested edits. She will take them into account, but it won't be an automatic, absolute.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like a great update. Everybody has this, so they can do that. Let's move to agenda item 9, which is organizational retreat. A quick statement.
You bet. You should have had your interviews. If not, they're shortly scheduled from Christine. And I asked her if we could confirm dates, and it looks like the retreat, she calls it, the focus group, is the 16th, most likely, and the final meeting is the 30th. And I think doesn't be confirmed by her, but I also think these meetings will go longer. The last meeting is going to be longer than we estimated.
Just so you know, there's a city council meeting, so if we have it, well, before the light, then we will like it.
And frankly, if that could be delightfully set up to be a different setting. Yeah.
So time on those dates,
16th is 4 to 6, I believe.
is that true?
Yes.
And at that time, the city council meets or the
The city council means 6 to 8. they need the room for it.
I would like Christine to see if we could.
I just gave her the note, she's looking,
Okay.
it's not a done deal yet, either way.
Okay.
I keep forgetting.
So the 16th, right now, the 46th.
I'm available on those dates at that time.
The 30th, I believe, maybe, hold on, the 30th is Thursday as well.
I'm out from the 18th to the 9th.
Oh, okay, so you're back. Alright, so then it's Thursday the 30th, and I didn't see a time.
And eight-
Oh, 8 to 9, that's right, 8 to 9.
Well, she said block on every morning.
Oh, she said the contract.
But I don't know if she said at the time.
No.
That's the thing.
Yeah, on her email.
Hey, yeah.
What time do we want to do it on the?
But I think.
Well, that's Christine's suggestion to us.
So hold on a second, these are public meetings. They will be noticed as such, we need to have staff available, or you can check with staff, we need to have a location available, Thursdays is a 50-day. So it's not just, let's decide it right now. This is something we need to look into in terms of staff availability.
I'm available in that afternoon.
So hopefully everybody sends in their out of towns, I know Don does, Tia has, Kathy, all these people. They get logged in, so I'm able to see that you guys are there, it's the question is, well, there's no question, we have to find the staff availability.
Right. Is everyone here at the table okay to do it earlier on the 16th, so we don't step on the toes of Huntsville Town Council?
I'm available in the afternoon.
Okay.
I'm not, yeah,
Yeah, I think you're out of step, Kathy.
Now,
You're not, right?
4 o'clock is my date time for that day. Unfortunately.
We close it apples.
We would for this, it's a separate meeting. Let me ask, I don't know about the hours, I'll put it in. Let me ask, Thursday, the 16th, 8 to 10, Thursday morning. Mornings are clear. No.
I am not available.
No, she's just.
I am absolutely not available the morning of the 16th.
4 o'clock will be done.
Okay.
So,
We would
That's what
talk
it said
to
after.
be done by 5.
well, and there's one library, we can go to the
We can
library.
go to the library would be an alternate.
Okay.
When I talked to Christine, the interest that we discussed, she was saying, since these have to be public meetings because they are a vote forum. However, they much more mirror a work session, they are not for public involvement necessarily. And so we could institute the actual strict work session rules, which is that they're public, they are for in-person or online viewing, but they will not be participating with comments or anything like that. And in that case, Christine expressed an interest in the boardroom as it's more intimate
Yes.
at the library, and then we'd have it all online. People could come in if they really wanted to, we don't want a ton of turnout during the day, but anyone could be online and witness the whole thing.
I will say boardroom would be much more conducive in our,
So that day we will specifically need to figure out our IT situation. All right. So that was agenda item 9, anything else?
Sent out and notice on the IR of that.
yeah, it will be public
Well,
notice.
I've already drafted the public notice, but it's not final because we had
Yes.
secured the location and all that, so it'll be publicly noticed just like any other meeting, it'll be a special work session. Yes, sir.
What matters to me and maybe to you is the final date and time for us, so we can make sure that it fits into our calendar.
I was forwarded an email, while I was on vacation, I was forwarded an email from Christine, and it seems like it went to everybody, and it has those dates and those times on it. That's why I have it in my calendar, I just got back at 2 AM.
And that's what I'm speaking to as well.
Yeah.
She suggested them, yes. Now the 5 or 6 of us are talking.
Right.
Okay.
I don't recall we 5 or we 6 voting on those dates and times.
And you know what?
I'm not saying- Exactly, so
I was under the impression that when you guys talked to her, you all gave your input, but
We
maybe not.
did.
We did, but we didn't hear the final decision.
I did tell her that I'm not available in the morning of the 16th
She did.
and the morning of the 3rd.
And she, well.
And 8 to 9 is in the morning.
The 30th, it's the other.
That's my point. We
So
gotta-
are,
Okay, we
let's
will,
take it on.
we will do the logistics and come back together. It is 4:10 and we still have agenda items. So next up is agenda item 10, consent items. This year, I love it. This new process of putting things in a folder, fantastic. Where I don't know that there were any minutes, so no minutes, we can scratch that. Approval of payments, I haven't seen anything, but it's really when people get their Excel stuff approved and then I get a report from.
It may be tomorrow, so.
Okay.
We'll see.
Business licenses, there was something put in there and I believe there was a question about it.
Yeah, I saw your list and it said, could you just share with us what the private club at Powder Mountain?
Powder Haven.
Powder Haven entails.
Powder Haven,
Powder Haven Club.
It said private club, let me get there, sorry.
Is this a relicense? Do we know if it's a relicense or a new?
these are new licenses, I always get sent the new business licenses. And looks like it's,
Tina, I'm sorry, I don't know how to get to your folder, what's it called, before so I can get there.
Oh, there's the business documents.
the SharePoint,
Yeah,
SharePoint.
I'm not sure for it.
It's got a password.
Thank you. I should know from Kate that.
I'll show you, if you just go to documents, it's pinned as a topic.
So you kind of. It's right now.
Can you share the actual application with us?
What's it called?
Go to business licenses.
Maybe not today, but as we read ahead, we can look at it between now and tomorrow.
I didn't know, yeah, if you, because so I don't know if I'm doing this wrong. I get sent these business license applications, they've gone through Crystal Lynn, she's looked into them. The people have looked into them, so I just assume that they are all on board with that, and I just bring them here.
Put them on the list, yeah, and that's what I was gonna speak about, do we know what this is?
I think Powder Haven is the name of the private community organization that represents. They used to call themselves the neighbors, the people who live at the top of the mountain in the private area. And they call themselves Powder Haven.
Yes.
That is my understanding.
It's, I mean, you can just Google it.
Well, I know, but that's not, I don't, that's why I asked for the actual application and maybe that would give us more details. I'm sure, I imagine that's what it is.
It is, it's a 650 family private ski community. So it's the private side of Powder Haven.
Does it say Powder Mountain Club on your Google? No.
It's
So-
Powder
Powder Haven.
Where's the Powder Haven? So perhaps Tia can get us the actual application so we can all look at it before we vote tomorrow.
Yeah,
Oh, no, yes, it is.
I'm on his computer.
Yeah. Crystal and I'm sure you.
No,
Oh, you can.
The point being, however, is that when they go through the process, so for example, we contract with Weaver County, yes. Their job, when they get these things, is to make sure, is it allowed in that zone? Is it approvable in all these ways? It gets stopped at that stage before it comes to Tia and then comes to us. This is kind of, in my understanding, a formality. They have the rights to do this. And this is, they've already been vetted for it.
okay, so that's all my question is, as we move things over to us, who is doing that vetting? And have they seen our new ordinances? Did we change anything? So if Crystal is using it on Weaver County, or have we worked that flow?
Crystal Lynn is aware of our ordinances.
Yeah, because it could be a different zone, and it could be approved, permitted or non-permitted, a private club. I don't know, I was just asking. Some questions I had. I have no feeling one way or another, I just wanted to get more information about it.
And you'd like to see the address of the club.
Well, I see the
Yeah, it's
address
right there.
I see the address of the club here.
Where's the address?
It's right in the,
It's up at their.
everything that's in here. And they're all, and I can tell you they're all approved. I mean,
Okay.
yeah. Yes.
So we've approved private clubs?
It's the.
I'll have to-
This is what, this is a business. It's a business within the private organization of Powder Mountain. for the private side of the mountain. And yes, we don't have a restriction on that.
Okay, I just wanted to double check, so
Yeah.
I'd like to look at it before I can vote on it.
Perfect. Okay. And then, let's go, okay, so that was business license approval of procurement, any large JUB or anything coming at us that we need to be aware of? Procurement, said that anything over 20,000 had to come and run separately in front of the council.
Are we talking?
We just approved and not.
Well, it's assuming that the contracts are still in place, which they are. The task order that I am writing for JUB will be at 19,500, and for Chad Rochelle at whatever I've been doing, 1,500. So that's what I've got over in engineering. I don't know what's going on.
That's not in the procurement amount.
It is.
Well done.
It's almost like I've done this before.
Well, so I don't, yeah, so that would be the answer.
Are you guys doing a task order? I assume you are for planning.
Or having outstanding bills that we need to be aware of.
The last time I believe we approved all of JUB's planning up to the end of the fiscal year. The only one they didn't give us was June, and it might be a big one, but.
So
That a June invoice.
Everything for the same.
We have not received the JUB June invoices yet.
No, we haven't.
Gotcha, so then the answer is yes.
But that
we
is-
should expect some-
That is not procurement, that is an invoice against
Yes.
the past. If the question is, what are we procuring in this month? I will be issuing task orders for JUB and Chad Bushel.
No, the question was regarding the procurement policy that sets the limit, the ceiling at 20. If there are things coming in that are above 20, they have to come separately. That was just
Right.
the question. I haven't seen.
We don't have the JUB one, that'll be the big one, the other big one will probably be the lawyers, I'm
I'll
guessing.
have to check. They send separate invoices, so.
They haven't sent it yet for,
No, but every month they send two different invoices based on dollar amounts, so.
There's the engineering one and the planning.
Yeah.
it all comes as one email. We have not received it yet.
All right, so everybody check your Casella accounts, in case there's things sitting there. All right, now we are on agenda item 11. Council comments. We're gonna start at this end of the table.
I have a list of quick things. People over the holiday weekend told me they saw more police and sheriff presence in the valley, and they were very happy about that. It was a fun Fourth to spend it with Tia and her family in the morning. It was fabulous. They did a great job decorating the truck, and we ruined some grandkids.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Big parade.
Parade, bigger than usual.
Yes. The budget concern I already shared, they would like to see the charts in the paper. And nice job, team, on the no fireworks.
Yeah.
That was
That was impressive.
amazing. I was so impressed. So that was really good. We put up a number of signs, those big signs, nice job designing and getting them. We put them up and they're gonna stay up through stage 2, I guess.
I thought they stay up till October.
Yeah, that's what I had heard. Stage 2's in place till October 15th, so. Unless they pull it back earlier.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Okay, number one, parade, fun. Thank you, Chad, for arranging, but
That's one.
Chad and I got our extra stuff.
it was great, yeah, and used to even ran, and it was lucky the guy driving the Jeep was a dog. The signs were just amazing, and a lot of people putting smaller signs around that some resident designed. The big fat signs, we have to thank Don Binkford and Vicky for going to pick them up. And they planted half of them, and Peggy and Tia did the rest. And I didn't hear any firecrackers, but I guess there's a police report, maybe a few.
Yes, there.
But all in all, good. And just an administrative note of the packets, I hope that system works. Why do that? Well, that's organized, but also we have done over 100 ordinances and resolutions. They are really hard to track down when they're emailed, get this or that. So the packets process, this is on, we reached maturity, we need to put stuff all in one box so we can find it.
Love it. Okay.
Love it.
Councilor Shaw.
Just to echo what Peggy said about the parade, and we helped at the breakfast, with. And I did talk to the breakfast organizers later, and it was more of a steady stream that, it seemed black, they said they had a lot of people. After the parade, but it was a lot of fun to do the parade, and it was much bigger than I've ever seen it before. Right.
It's huge.
Yeah, and therefore we ran out of candy. On the signs, we have a resident in Liberty who took it upon herself to make some more of those big signs.
Oh, wow.
She's got them up in North Fork Park.
So, quick question, and not to be a spoiler here, since I was out of town, I'm not sure where the budget, where we paid or who designed them, but then how did
She paid for them.
and the same design, just went to the same.
She just went to the same company.
And to make more, okay, well, that was very generous of her, but we don't own North Fork Park, and so are we in any way?
She put them on the gates
Okay,
so that she
Really?
was worried about people.
no, I appreciate it, I'm just making sure our city's liability, because it's not ours, but it's.
That the fireworks restrictions
It's
are.
fully and unincorporated, yeah, it absolutely is, I'm just.
Yeah,
Okay.
she lives up there, and so she's very worried about
Yeah.
possibility of fire starting. She's close to the park.
Oh, absolutely, okay, well, fantastic,
And
I appreciate that.
I also think she must have paid for it because we don't even account. I bought,
She said that she paid it,
yeah.
so are you saying that you actually with check?
I paid it, but there will be any invoice or expense report to the city.
Anything else, Councilor Shaw?
No,
Okay.
No, other than what's already been said, it's been great, Holly.
Speaking of signs, we will be putting up engine brake restriction signs in Old Eden at the bottom and one at the bottom of
you know my thoughts on them.
Pass.
the beds. Yeah. Tell me your thought afterwards, but there's gonna be one coming east out of Eden, out of the four-way somewhere, and there will be one somewhere near the elementary school as you begin to get to the populated areas. Those will go up this week. Thursday, I will be attending the sewer study kickoff down at the county. The afternoon. Case agreed to take office duty for me. Thank you, Kay. I'll report back to everybody. This is the kickoff of it. Nate's gonna be there as well that night. I have a town hall, night of the night. And some of us are on email. I started about impact fees. I believe the impact fees go into place on the 12th of July, not August. Right, so Ken, I don't know if I copied you, if I didn't, I apologize, but I've reached out to Robin and Tyler to make sure the day that they go into effect, that we start applying them to our permit process. And that's all I have. That's not all I have. We will be making a decision in the next 2 weeks whether or not to do asphalt overlay and chip seal based on our budget. The county wants me to make a decision this week. We'll make a decision in the next 2 weeks as we work with the county and within our budget. So I'll let everybody know what the decision is. We don't have a decision.
Perfect.
People will be angry up in your part of the woods if we say no. A certain individual will be.
Great, I just wanna finish off that articles are due this week. Today is the official day, so everybody getting in their articles to Kay so that Kay can put them together from the city. In regard to that, there has been a lot of chatter online about code enforcement. I think some of it is misguided, and so if we could maybe do an article regarding how our code enforcement is working or not working, or when it started. There's all kinds of discussion on there of whether they are going around actively looking for violations, whether they were working weeks ago and did all these things when I believe they weren't. So if we could get an article to help push out factual information, that would be great. I would request that. And I think that's it. I'm in the sewer study and other meetings as well.
You just like going to meetings.
What was that?
You like going to meetings.
Oh.
Janet, I will be at
We got
this
lots
one.
of meetings, but anyway, as we all know, since I don't have a talk since that happened, but elections happened and we have some changes that are gonna be made at the county level, and so we'll see how that goes. We're still working with the county with our contracts and everything, and we'll be meeting some new people, I guess, sometime soon. Not yet.
I was gonna say, wasn't it just a primary?
Yeah, well,
Well,
Yes,
one of
it
them
was.
was definitive, because there are no.
there are no.
Yeah, sorry. And so, yeah. Okay, so that was mine, is the articles, yeah, I'm gonna get your stuff in, they're due this week, yes, ma'am.
On the articles, real quickly, I sent an email out with a tentative list of articles with some potential assignments. Look at that, I'll help anyone write, co-write, or write it myself, just to get those articles in. And any ideas you have?
When did you send that?
Last night, I think. I'll send it again.
Don't remember seeing.
Yeah. But I am going to write an article at Council Corner about Facebook tables, because that's where we hear the misinformation.
Well, so I will say, but so if any of you guys, I'll scan online to see what's in the chat, so I can see what we maybe need to make sure we're addressing. But if you guys are having a lot of people, like Councilmember Booth, you mentioned, you got a lot of people who are contacting you about the 55% or what commercial businesses are paying or whatever. Make sure that you are sending the topics. If you don't want to own the article, at least send the topics so that we can get articles written to address them, because we don't know what text or calls you're getting unless you send that information saying we need to address this issue. So that would be great. That way we can keep informing as much as possible. All right, it is 4:27. I know of no reason for a closed meeting, and so I will take a motion to adjourn.
We're adjourned.
I second.
We got a motion to adjourn from Hickman and a second from Shaw. It is 4:27. We are adjourned.